Hey everyone, I've known JT the Brick for some time, John Turturro, and I am absolutely shocked, surprised, disappointed that he would go on Facebook and adopt a point of view that is by its nature divisive. Uh, it's one thing to, I don't know, you know, start a conversation, but it's another thing to wade into an area that with an opinion that one group of people by race is going to disagree with the other and do so for no other reason than I can only chalk it up to pure evil. That's really how I look at it. Um, what JT the Brick did specifically refers to, and look, let me put it this way: everyone is entitled to their view or opinion. I would never ever seek to take that away from a person. That's not my issue. My issue is one's judgment and heart and evil. In basically, JT writes, he says, so NBA Commissioner Adam Silver wanted to drop the word owner and transition to the term of governor, referring to the individuals who have financial control of a franchise. Well, who own it? Another prime example of our country losing its mind. The only word owner is now considered offensive by many of the players who obviously don't want to refer to their boss with a word that conjures up a negative. Get ready for the NFL to adopt this policy in the near future. And he says, what's next? Should we refer to the baker now as the pastry governor? If you don't like the service at a restaurant, should you ask for the cuisine governor to voice your displeasure? Well, actually, JT, what you ask for is the manager. Okay. What about the man or woman who owns an office tower or a hotel property? Again, you ask for the manager or the general manager. Think about it, okay? JT Wright continues. He says, I speak for a living and can't believe that we are at a time in our lives that we have to deal with this type of nonsense. I've had the pleasure of meeting several NFL owners and state governors through my life, and I will continue to refer to them as owners and governors. Now back to the real issue that matter. Keep your responses clean or they will be deleted. It's not a political post, as I never talk politics unless it crosses over into sports. Well, he's talking politics. And that's a double negative. Basically, he just is talking politics. But the bottom line is, I hold out that JT is the problem, okay? And people who think like him. That is, rather than be empathic to a point of view of a person who doesn't look like him, particularly somebody black, all right? He would choose to challenge that. We're talking about black people who are simply sick and tired of these many different wetland jungs in our society that would seek to put them down, that would seek to say, hey, you're less than, or you don't matter, or you're being owned or governed by somebody who happens to be white. And these archetypes are all over our society, and all these players are simply trying to do is recover a modicum of dignity by changing the nomenclature. There's nothing wrong with that. And anybody who voted for Barack Obama to be president because they wanted to get over the whole idea that America wasn't ready for a black president understands that. And I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent and explain that voting for Barack Obama was a lot like voting for your friend who happens to be this cool guy who's a leader who is in high school and everybody likes. That was what it was like to vote for Barack, because everybody liked him. Everyone knew somebody that knew him, that sort of thing. It was really cool. Okay? There was nothing wrong with that. Back to this main point right now. The main problem in society today is the desire among some to deliberately hurt others because they're frustrated with change and it makes them feel good to get out their frustrations. That's evil. And I will tell you, after Monday, I know exactly what evil feels like. Evil feels like it feels like suddenly driving and you're surrounded by this lower than it should be cloud that is filled with lightning all over. The lightning is around you and you're afraid as you drive that it's going to hit you. And to underscore your fear, it hits a transformer next to you. That happened to me on Monday. I thought I was going to die. But I quite literally felt like evil was trying to get me. And I was fortunate enough to not be caught by it, get inside away from it. That's how I felt. And that's how I look at what JT, what you did, all right? It was mean. It wasn't conciliatory. It wasn't understanding. It wasn't sympathetic. It was just plain mean, and I might add pathetic, okay? JT, you have to focus on being a good person. You understand? A good person. Being a sports commentator does not mean you have to be a mean person. It doesn't mean you have to be a jerk. It doesn't mean you have to be racist. It doesn't mean you have to be confrontational. It can mean you can be intelligent, understanding, thoughtful, analytical, prescient, and dare I say genius. None of those words would be in any nomenclature I would use to describe you after what you posted here, right here, okay, on Facebook, all right? All right? You say it conjures up a negative. You were so afraid to deal with the truth behind this that you couldn't bring yourself to write that, which you should have written, which is basically, hey, look, the word owner is now considered offensive by many of the players who obviously don't want to refer to their boss with a word that conjures up slavery or ideas of slavery. That is what you should have written. But you knew damn well that's the issue, JT. You knew damn well that's the issue, and yet you didn't go there because you were ashamed of what you were thinking. You knew that what you were thinking was wrong, even as much as you wrote it, okay? Even as much as you wrote it. My question to you is, why is it so important to poke bears? You know, why is it so important to you to make other people unhappy? Do you know how to find common ground with people? Or have you gone down a sort of a rabbit hole of being this, you know, modern version of the shock jock of the 80s, or as much as you can be that without being that, and it works for you that you think, okay, this works for me and it makes me feel good, it pays the bills? I don't know about that, JT. I think you're better than that. In fact, I know you are. I know you are. So why don't you try a different path? Why don't you try a path that is intelligent, okay? Why don't you try a path that is conciliatory? Why don't you try a path that does not ignite people who have high school educations, nothing better to do than to pick on people who happen to not look like them or might be Jewish, like some of your people who pick on my friend Mike Silver, all right? Okay? And my last name is Abraham. You come at me, I will have you arrested. I mean it. I am sick and tired of this massive racist stupidity that people like you are advancing in the society. Grow up your IQ, read books, relax, get a brain, turn on your brain, turn off your mental part that ignites your emotions, and then turns off the brain in a negative feedback loop, and start being civil. Your behavior is uncivil. It is uncivilized. It communicates a desire to be against some other folk and their ideas, and you know it. If that's not your intent, why put out this drivel? Because that's precisely what it is, drivel. Complete drivel. You know, all the way with the common trope about your whining about political correctness. Let me tell you something, JT. Do you know what political correctness really is? It's being a gentleman. That's what it is. Or if you like, it's being a lady for the ladies, okay? It's called polite society. You might try to discover it one day. You might even find it fun. You might even find that it opens up a world to you you weren't aware existed. What you wrote was ridiculous, shameful, unintelligent, not what you're capable of, brutish, ugly, evil, and pretty much any other, well, of course, racist, negative I can think of. Why do it? I'm not concerned about why you did it. My request to you is that you please stop doing it. Do us a favor, JT. Find your better angels, okay? And then activate them. Please, activate them. Find that part of you that changes your brain's chemistry to make you feel the way that you do when you're with your kids. Find that part of you that's capable of being nice. And don't reserve your mean behavior for someone black who happens to be simply trying to gain some semblance of a better life for themselves and for others just by a little bit of a tweak in how we think. There's nothing wrong with that. If you agree with the idea that a rising tide lifts all boats, why would you choose to maintain a behavior that others believe sinks some of them? Stop it, JT. It's not the best of you.